Blueberries, like this one right here, are one of the most challenging plants to grow successfully for us home gardeners. They require this absolutely ridiculously acidic soil. They're prone to both heat damage and cold damage. They're not very good at setting fruit in isolation, and they don't like to exist where there is too much nitrogen in the soil. Plus, they have these roots that are somehow both bad at penetrating the dirt and bad at taking up water. You know, the things that we typically associate with roots doing. And a lot of that is because of wild blueberries, and there are actually a lot of different types of wild blueberries, but the ones that we cultivated into plants like this, they evolved to grow in places like dense, woody thickets, or acidic, swampy bogs, or even rocky barrens. Places that are basically just not similar to our home gardens. Now, I've been experimenting with growing blueberries for the last couple of years in a variety of different soil types with a variety of different amendments, both DIY options as well as purchased, and I've come to a pretty simple conclusion. The rumors are true. Blueberries will not thrive even in dirt that other plants would absolutely kill for. This isn't one of those cases where we're being sold and tricked into buying expensive amendments that we don't actually need. Blueberries deserve their hype. They really are drama queens, but they're not impossible. Actually, really far from it. With just a little bit of planning and some very affordable amendments, you too can grow a beautiful patch of blueberries, and not just in containers, which is a really common popular option. No, today I'm going to show you how we plant our blueberries in our terrible, soggy, dense clay soil. Let's get into it. If you've already done any research on how to grow blueberries, you already know that they love it acidic. But honestly, there's a lot more to the story of how to build good blueberry soil. And honestly, the story of planting blueberries successfully is really the story of how to build their soil up. So I want to go through a few things that are really going to be important to put into our soil before we talk about the acidity. First off, it is so important to understand that a blueberry's roots, they're shallow, they're dense, they're fibrous, and they kind of almost even just look like a mat. And what that means is it's going to be the most important to amend that top 8 inches of soil. That's going to be where they do most of their business. Up to 12 inches is likely to be utilized, so it's good to go at least a foot deep. And then kind of depending on how tough your soil is, they might go a little bit deeper to say a foot and a half, 18 inches, or even more. Blueberry roots, they're just not that good at penetrating tough dirt. They're really weak overall. In general, it's going to be better to build a wider planting hole than a really, really deep one. Another thing to keep in mind is that blueberry roots actually lack a structure that is common on roots called root hairs. And root hairs are really important for drawing up moisture. And what that means is, as we mentioned again before, blueberry roots are not very good at taking up moisture. Unfortunately, they also really don't like to live in a soggy medium, which means that we need to achieve something that is both good at holding on to moisture consistently, but isn't getting too saturated, that also has good drainage. Next, like the majority of all the food crops that we're used to planting, blueberries do want a lot of organic material, but what is different about blueberries is they don't want a whole lot of nitrogen in their soil. They don't want it to be too rich. Actually, a lot of nitrogen can burn their roots, and that's particularly true of younger plants and particularly true of when we first plant them. You can add a little bit of nitrogen later on when they're more established and they start flowering, but early on when they're young and we're first putting them in the ground, you really don't want it too rich in there. So to sum up here, blueberries want soil that is soft, moist, well draining with lots of organic material, but that is lowish in nutrient levels. To achieve that kind of soil, most of us are going to need to do a little bit of shopping for some amendments to mix up into our native soil and make it the way that blueberries like. So let's take a look at our shopping list. First off, we have some wood chips. You can also use bark chunks or bark nuggets, and we're actually going to use these both as a mulch and actually in the soil itself as a soil ingredient. I know that's a little bit taboo, but I think it works really well for blueberries. Second, if you are comfortable using it, is sphagnum peat moss. Sphagnum peat moss is basically going to do 3 things for us. First off, it is immediately going to bring down the pH levels of our new soil mix because it is very acidic stuff. Again, you have to get a sphagnum peat moss bag. It can't just be peat moss. Second, sphagnum peat moss is very good at holding onto moisture without getting really saturated and nasty. And again, as we mentioned, that's going to be something that our blueberries are looking for. And then third, this stuff is just pretty good at helping the soil retain a nice, soft, loose texture, and that's just going to help those kind of weaker roots grow out and make sure that they're establishing themselves healthily and quickly. Next up, you're going to want a low nitrogen organic material. I am using steer manure today, and I'm not going to grab it because honestly, it doesn't smell all that nice, and I don't really want it on my hands at the moment, not wearing gloves. You can also use something like well-rotted leaves, or a lot of people like to use well-rotted
add pine needles. You don't really need to. But anyways, you need something that is low in nitrogen, but high in organic material. Steer manure does have a fair amount of nitrogen in it, but it's much lower compared to something like chicken manure. Finally, we do need our dedicated acidification agent because again, blueberries do want it very, very acidic. They want a really low pH, like 4.8 is a good number to aim for. They're just a weird plant, y'all. So we're gonna need something like this. More on that to come.
Hi there, sorry for the interruption. Favor to ask. Basically, this video was years in the making, lots of blueberry experiments, lots of amendments. So if you think it is going to help you grow your own blueberries successfully, I would so appreciate if you could hit the like button. I can never remember where it is. Somewhere down there. If you could hit that button, really, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. It genuinely helps us out. Also, I cannot get enough of these nectarine flowers. These are just amazing, right? Anyways, let's get back to the blueberries. Over the last couple of years, growing more blueberries, I've really come to the conclusion that my alkaline clay soil can't really support blueberries on its own. I've tried growing it in there. I've tried various DIY amendments, you know, the vinegar, the coffee grounds, the pine needles, and in my opinion, none of them are all that effective. They don't really work. Our blueberries grew, they even put off pretty good tasting fruit, but the plants are always kind of sad, and I want them to thrive. Most of us really are going to need something that is designed to bring those pH levels down. So let's take a moment to understand our options on that front, because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about what soil acidifiers can do, what they can't do, and how they fundamentally work. So there are a few different types of soil acidifier products out there, but personally, I would only go with something organic, like say elemental sulfur, or a purpose-made product like this one from Job's. Espoma has another one that is very similar and also very good. And I would go ahead and steer clear of something like aluminum sulfate. Now, aluminum sulfate is very effective at bringing down pH levels in the soil, but ultimately pumping your dirt full of a toxic metal is dangerous. It's not something I would do, and it's not something I'm really comfortable recommending on this channel. With aluminum sulfate kind of off the table, our first option to consider is going to be elemental sulfur pellets. They are cheap, you can get them on Amazon, and if you have a long time to plan out this project ahead of time, say at least 6 months, and you want to acidify a large patch of dirt, you're going to plant a lot of blueberries, and you really want to stay on budget, elemental sulfur pellets can be a really terrific option. But personally, I prefer our second option, something like this soil acidifier product from Job's. There are also other options out there, and basically because it actually contains two different ingredients. The first is labeled on these products as free sulfur, which just is elemental sulfur. It's just how they label it. And the second is going to be combined sulfur. And combined sulfur is, again, just their labeling term for sulfate. Specifically in this product, it is sulfate that is contained within gypsum, another popular gardening amendment. Sometimes it's going to be sulfate that is bound with bentonite clay. What you need to know about sulfate is that it is the form of sulfur that is actually readily available for the plant to uptake as a nutrient, meaning a product like this is going to be much faster acting, again, as a nutrient than something like elemental sulfur is. On the other hand, elemental sulfur is actually completely inert when you first put it into the soil. It actually has to be oxidized, it has to be converted into sulfate before it helps us at all, specifically by the Thiobacillus genus of bacteria that lives in our soil, or at least that should live in our soil. And the fact that we have to rely on a biological process for that elemental sulfur to help us has a few important consequences. First off, it's not going to do much of anything at all if we put it into the ground in winter, because that Thiobacillus genus of bacteria, it's only really active when the soil is warm. And I'm talking really warm, like between 75 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Second off, the soil needs to be moist and healthy enough for the bacteria colonies in the soil to really do their thing. Third off, Thiobacillus, that bacteria that I mentioned before, really prefers to live in a more acidic soil, which obviously we don't have yet. So have you spotted the issue with elemental sulfur alone? I wasn't able to apply it over winter because it needs warm soil and it takes at least 6 months to really do anything and become available to the plant. And I have a bunch of these blueberries that really need to get into the ground. It's a great option if you are a planter. I, on the other hand, like to impulse buy my plants. So then why not just use sulfate sources? That type of sulfur that I mentioned is readily available to the plants right away. Well, the problem with sulfate is that it doesn't actually acidify our soil. Nope, the process of turning that elemental sulfur, oxidizing that elemental sulfur into sulfate, that's what produces the sulfuric
acid, and that is actually what acidifies the soil itself. Adding a bunch of sulfate, adding a bunch of gypsum in there isn't going to do it, which is why at the end of the day, I'm a fan of a product like this one right here that has both elemental sulfur as well as sulfate in the form of gypsum, as well as mixing in that sphagnum peat moss that we bought into our mix, and which will immediately reduce the pH levels and acidify that soil. One more quick note on the topic of acidification. Clay soil is actually going to require more of our acidifier product than would like a loamy soil, and sandy soil is going to require less. So you just need to kind of keep in mind what type of soil you're planting in when you read the instructions on your product. Also, I will link to a ton of good articles in the description covering everything we just talked about if you want to dive in deeper. Otherwise, let's go talk about plant food. When it comes to fertilizer, skip it. They don't want it at this point. They don't need it at this point. It can actually be dangerous at this point. It would just be a waste. You might need it a little bit later, but not now, not at the time of planting. Hey, that was pretty easy compared to that last section, huh? Do you guys like researching varieties of new plants? It's kind of like my favorite part of gardening. I don't know, I digress. Anyways, blueberry varieties are particularly interesting because there's not just a ton of varieties out there, there's actually 4 distinct categories of blueberries, and basically those categories are based on which types of wild blueberries they were domesticated from or hybridized from. Anyways, there's a northern high bush, there's a southern high bush, there's a rabbit-eye, and there's a low bush. I live in a really warm area with really hot summers and pretty mild winters, so I grow exclusively southern high bush. But anyways, you just need to look up what type of blueberry is going to do well in your area. They each have sort of different characteristics that make them appropriate for various climates. And then once you have selected the type of blueberry or types of blueberries that you want to grow, make sure that you get at least 2 plants of different varieties. Blueberries are inefficient self-pollinators. And what that means is most of them, particularly the high bush varieties, most of them they'll set fruit on their own, but they'll set a lot more fruit if you plant them in close proximity to a plant of a different variety. Trust me on this one, it is not worth it to plant a blueberry in isolation. Make sure you get at least a couple. Okay, let's talk about location. You may look at this and see an ugly, overgrown patch of weeds, but I also see that. That's exactly what it is. It's a big, ugly patch of weeds, but it's a big, ugly patch of weeds. Blueberries actually get pretty big, so try and find somewhere with enough space. Another plus is we are right next to the main garden, so irrigation is super easy to get at, which is just gonna make my life so much easier. See if you can find a spot easy to water because, yeah, they need plenty of it. The downside here is we are in a pretty shady spot, and blueberries really prefer full sun or close to it, so give it to them if you can. But I cannot give it to them, and that is okay, because you know what is even worse than a shady blueberry patch? No blueberry patch. Don't worry about it too much if you can't give them 10 hours of sun. They're actually pretty shade tolerant. Plant them where you can. Finally, our last little problem here is this stump and the ensuing roots coming out of it. Blueberries, again, do really prefer to have their own space to grow in. This is just gonna be a little bit of an impediment. Blueberries prefer at least 2 feet of space. As you can see, I'm doing quite a bit less than that, and that is just because I am personally optimizing for diversity. I want a few different types of varieties in here, and also because I'm trying to create a hedge, and I want that hedge to be nice and dense as soon as possible. But if you want to optimize for production, for getting as much food as you can, definitely space them out at least 2 feet, but more like 3 or 4 is gonna be even better. That's what more of a commercial style operation would look like. Just up to you what you want to optimize for. All right, the first thing I'm gonna be doing here is just digging out 4 big old planting holes and putting about 1/3 of the soil that are removed from the ground into a wheelbarrow to mix up later. Next up, I am going to go ahead and put in an equal amount of sphagnum peat moss into the wheelbarrow as I did to the native soil, and then another equal part of the steer manure. And then I'm going to mix it all up really, really good. Doesn't need to be perfect, it's okay. Over time, it'll all kind of combine together. All right, our mix is looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and scoop it into each of the planting holes. You wanna make sure that you are getting them nice and full or even a little bit over full. This is a really light, airy mix, so it is gonna compact a little bit even over the next couple days. So a little extra full is not a problem. Finally, it is time to add in our acidification agent. Now, I like to add this directly into the planting hole rather than earlier on in the wheelbarrow because I want to be a bit more precise with this step. I'm trying to follow the instructions and then adding a little bit extra because I am planting in clay soil. So I can't really give you an exact amount because your product might be different, and again, your soil needs are very likely different. So just read the instructions on whatever you bought, and then adjust based on your soil type. Okay, we are ready to plant some blueberries. We basically just want those soil balls to be just beneath the surface of the soil, and then I'm gonna gently kind of pack in the soil there a little bit. Again, it is very, very loose at this point, and then depending on how much it compacted down, when you push on it a little bit, you may want to come back and add a little bit extra of the soil mix just on top so that you're getting a nice level surface, or even a little bit mounded up. Mounded is not a terrible thing, it'll just help a little bit with drainage. With the plants in place, it is time to mulch, and I am going to mulch very generously. Again, that fibrous mat of a root system needs protection. It needs protection from heat, it needs protection from cold, it needs protection from weed pressure, it needs protection from drying out. Mulch is just magical on all of those fronts. It really, really works well. I definitely recommend trying not to skip it if at all possible. For what it's worth though, you do not need pine needles or pine chips or whatever else you might hear. Whew, all right, almost done, but before we can call it a day here, I need to install their irrigation line. It's an annoying noise. Basically, unless you live somewhere where blueberries grow naturally, readily, they're gonna really struggle in summer heat without nice reserves of moisture. And I am way too lazy to come out here and water them every day by hand when it's 110 degrees Fahrenheit out. So let's go ahead and get this irrigation in the ground and water them in generously. Hey there, me from the future here. There are two things in this section I feel like I didn't get across very clearly. So real quick, let me add a couple notes. First off, it really is better if you do this whole process way ahead of time, like 6 months to a year. Obviously, I am not doing that here, and it seems to work out okay for me, I think because I use so much sphagnum peat moss, but I just want to make sure that you guys know it is definitely ideal if you can do this way ahead of time. Second, this isn't the one and only time we are going to be using the soil acidifier. It's not a one and done product. We're going to be adding it in a concentric circle around the plants every few months as our season goes on, because we don't want just that little initial planting hole to be the only area with soil that's appropriate for the roots. We want to make sure that we are broadly acidifying the soil around the plants as well so that they can grow nice and big and strong. All right, that's it. Let's move on. Can you believe it is spring already? Look at this almond tree. It is just absolutely beautiful. I'm so excited. Anyways, I wanted to end here with a couple kind of ongoing care tips. Blueberries, once established, aren't that difficult, but there are a few things to keep in mind. First off, make sure that you are keeping that weed pressure to a minimum. I've said this kind of an embarrassing number of times so far in this video, but again, blueberry roots, they're not very good at competing, so just make sure that they don't have to compete too much. Second, if you have the patience, it's probably better to not let that first year blueberry bush actually fruit. Go ahead and prevent it from fruiting if you can manage to bring yourself to do so. If you can't, don't worry about it. Sometimes the joy of getting a harvest is more important than doing what is absolutely ideal, but you'll probably thank yourself in years 2, 3, and 4 down the line. 3, if you are letting yours fruit, maybe they're a little bit more mature, go ahead and give them a light feeding about the time that they start showing flowers, and then another light feeding about a month after that, just to help with the overall fruit production. You'll get a better harvest and they may even taste a little bit better. 4, blueberries definitely respond very well to pruning. So in the off season, you can go ahead and remove any sort of underperforming canes, any bedraggled shoots. You can be pretty aggressive with it. They'll do a good job at recovering come next spring. 5th and last, if you find yourself wanting more blueberries after you plant in that first batch, and of course you do, who wouldn't, they're actually really easy to propagate via cutting, so I definitely recommend giving that a try. Blueberries, they kind of take a while to really hit their stride, so it'll be a few years before they're producing at their full potential, but oh my goodness, what an amazing long-term investment. I really hope this video maybe convinced you to give them a shot if it was something you were on the fence about. And if you're interested in these sort of perennial berry bush style videos, we're actually gonna be continuing that hedge with a variety of cool plants like Nanking cherries and American cranberry bush, American hazelnut, bay laurel, a bunch of really cool stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, maybe consider subscribing. Otherwise, as always, thank you for joining us for this video. I hope to see you on the next one, and happy gardening, y'all.
And I won't waste it.